Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you guys are new here. Today I'm going to be reviewing and demoing the Essence Pretty Natural Hydrating Foundation. I do have dry and dehydrated skin, so if you guys would like to see how this foundation sits on my skin, then keep on watching. So I have this foundation in the shade 40 Neutral Vanilla. I bought it from Ulta, and Ulta does carry 29 shades online, but they don't have all those shades in stores. So this shade 40 Neutral Vanilla is just a little bit too light for my skin, but they didn't have shades 50 or 60 in stores. On the Essence website, they do sell all 31 shades. This foundation comes in a squeeze tube, and you get 1.05 fluid ounce for $6.99 on the Ulta website. And some of the claims says that it is supposed to be a hydrating foundation and it's supposed to provide a natural medium coverage finish. It does recommend that you prime and moisturize your skin per usual, and you can apply either with your fingers, a brush, or a sponge. To start off, I'm going to swatch this shade 40 Neutral Vanilla on my cheek and let that dry for about 3 to 5 minutes, just so I can swatch a new fresh swatch right next to it to see if this foundation darkens as it dries down. This is the fresh swatch here. You guys can see the one that I swatched about 3 minutes ago has dried down a little bit darker, so you definitely want to keep that in mind. I wouldn't say it oxidizes too bad because it's not that dark, but I think with every foundation you can kind of expect it to dry down just a little bit darker, but it's not a huge difference in my opinion. Alright, so I've already primed and moisturized my face per usual. I will list all the products that I use down below, but to apply this foundation, I'm going to first use a damp sponge on my left side and use a blending brush on my right side. I usually prefer a damp sponge because it works better for my dry skin, but we'll see which I prefer. This is what the foundation looks like coming out of its packaging. You can see it's a little bit more runny. It's not like that thick moussey type of foundation. I am a little bit worried that this shade might be a little bit too light. Again, this is Neutral Vanilla. Right off the bat, this foundation definitely does have a scent. It has a floral scent, which I'm not a huge fan of scents. Not that it irritates my skin, it's just it gives me a headache sometimes. This one isn't too strong, but I can definitely smell it, but we'll see how long that lasts. I might have applied a little bit too much, but I'm gonna blend it out with my sponge. So right off the bat, the shade is a little bit too light. You can kind of see there's a little bit of a white cast, not because of your sunscreen or anything, but I think it's just a little bit too light. But looking up close on my skin, it doesn't look too bad. It definitely is looking like it's drying down pretty fast to almost like a semi-matte, but it still has a little bit of a natural finish. I do see that it's settling just a little bit on my smile lines, but let's go ahead and do the other side with the brush, and then we can really compare them. I'm looking a little bit pale, looks a little bit crazy, but I would say the brush does provide a little bit more coverage compared to the sponge side. I wouldn't say that the brush made my skin feel any drier or anything like that, which usually a brush would, but for this foundation it does look actually pretty nice. So this is what one layer looks like. I'm gonna do another layer using both the sponge and the brush, and we'll see how that compares. Alright, I have 2 layers on now and I look very pale, but I wanted to give you guys a little bit of my thoughts. So looking up close, I can definitely see it's starting to crease a little bit around my nose and a little bit on my smile lines. I think that with the brush, it does make my skin look a little bit more patchy because I do have some dry patches, and there are some dry patches on the tip of my nose. One thing I definitely noticed with this foundation is that it is really sticky. It's not like tacky where it feels wet, it just feels sticky, and I don't know if you guys can kind of see it, but it's kind of weird. So I don't know how that's going to work with powder going on top. So I might try to set it a little bit, and hopefully that doesn't cause too much patchiness when I go in with a bronzer. And a blush. But other than that, the finish I'd say is a semi-matte natural finish. My forehead looks pretty semi-matte, but the top of my cheek still has like the slightest like natural finish. It's not matte, but it's not dewy at the same time. All right, I'm back with the rest of my makeup. Don't mind, I know this foundation still looks a little bit too light, but I have some thoughts about this foundation. I really do not like it. The main thing I don't like about it is that stickiness that I still feel on my skin. Like, I feel like I've been sweating all day and then the sweat has dried down on my skin and I just really want to wash it off. So with that in mind, when I was applying my contour stick and I literally was just drawing one line, it was dragging or like tugging at my skin when I drew that line, and then when I tried to blend it out with this brush, it just kind of tugged at my skin while I was kind of trying to blend that out, and I feel like it looks a little bit patchy in this area, and right here I feel like there's a little patch that just would not blend in. Powder went on a little bit better, but I still just do not like the way my skin feels right now. I mean, I think my skin looks really nice. The clinging onto my dry patches is very, very minimal, and the settling in my smile lines or my nose, that is also very minimal, but it does look really beautiful on the skin. Like when I look up close, my skin still looks really natural but with really nice coverage. So I would say that this foundation does provide a nice medium coverage. If I were to choose between a sponge or a brush, I don't really think I would have a preference. The brush does make my skin look just the tiniest bit dry, but nothing too huge to the point where I wouldn't use a brush ever with this foundation. The brush does provide a little bit more coverage as well, so I don't really think I have a preference with this foundation. The scent has gone away, I'd say, completely, which is really great because I don't like scented products. And then regarding the finish, I would say this foundation is a really nice, like almost semi-matte natural finish, because my forehead looks pretty matte and then my cheeks looks pretty matte as well, but not like to the point where matte where your skin looks drying, especially if you have dry skin. The foundation does feel hydrating as well. My skin doesn't feel tight, it doesn't feel dry at all, but I just cannot get over this sticky feeling. Like, I don't know, like when I try to drag my finger across my skin, it just kind of tugs at my skin, and I don't like that feeling at all. So I don't know if it's maybe a primer or a moisturizer that I use underneath this foundation that's making it so sticky, but like I've mentioned before, I have swatched this foundation on my clean bare skin once and that still felt really sticky. So it could just be the foundation, but I'm gonna continue to try because I do like the way it looks on my skin. It doesn't look heavy, it doesn't look super cakey, and it's just this sticky feeling that I really, really hate. So let me know if you guys have tried this foundation before and if it feels the same way for you. Maybe it's just me. And also let me know if there's any other foundation you guys would like me to try out. I'm thinking of trying the Fenty foundation because that has been highly raved about or really popular on YouTube, so I want to see how that sits on my skin as well. But other than that, thank you so much for watching my video, and I will see you guys next time. Bye guys.